This is John Kohler with Kohlrabi.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, coming at you from my beautiful backyard garden here in November with all my amazing greens and other vegetables coming in my garden. In this episode, I'm going to discuss my opinions and what I would recommend for people out there on how many vegetables to eat on a fruit-based, fruitarian, or raw foods diet. Now, here's the thing. There's many teachers in the raw foods or fruitarian world, and they'll all tell you something, and probably something different. Some will say fruits are more cleansing, greens are healing and rebuilding, and some will say we need to eat all fruits, and some will say all different kinds of things. We need 2% leafy greens and this small amount of vegetables, and here's the thing. This is what I'm gonna tell you guys based on my experience eating a raw foods, fruit dominated for the majority of it, diet for the last 26 years. I did not get started yesterday. I have not been doing this 5, 10, 15, 20, or even 25 years. This is my 26th year of doing a raw foods diet. I've been doing it since 1995. And during that time, I've done many things. I've experimented on eating different amounts of greens. Hey, fruits are easy to eat. In my early years, I ate way too many fruits, and I saw personally the consequences. So I've, modified my raw foods diet. I did not write a book, so I don't have to stick to the dogma in the book that many people may feel they need to stick to their dogma in their book because that's what they wrote. Me, on the other hand, you watch a video from 10 years ago, I'm probably contradicting something today, potentially, because my thoughts and experiences and knowledge has changed and grown over time. So the other thing I'm gonna tell you guys is I want you guys to do your own research. This is what I'm gonna tell you guys as a long-term successful raw foodist, but not only just my experience do I come up with these guidelines, is what I like to say. I also come up with what I've seen happen to people that eat a high fruit diet. I mean, you guys may have seen some of these people eat a high fruit diet with very little greens and very little diversity even in their fruit diet. They may have their intestines pulled out, or they may have, gone back to eating cooked foods, or they may have gone back to eating animal products. They may have gone paleo and all these things, and they have before and after skin pictures. Well, dude, that's because you're eating a deficient raw vegan diet, or even if you're in a vegan diet and you're not, paying attention, you could be deficient. And then by eating animal foods, which are concentrated sources of plants, you could make up those deficiencies. But the goal to me would not just be like throw in the towel and start eating animals. It'd be like, how can I minimize my deficiencies and even meet all of them so that I don't have to go to eating meat because I am eating a deficient raw foods diet, because my guru that I listen to, because I only listen to one guru in the raw foods movement, this is my guy, because it's easier just to listen to one guy and do everything he says than to start using your own brains, people, and coming up with what makes the most sense to you and experimenting on your body instead of just taking the gospel from one person, whether it's me or somebody else in the raw foods movement as truth. So even with my information, do your own research, right? And in many cases, what I'm going to tell you guys, the research holds true, because not only have I experienced it, not only have I seen what happens to other people that have failed in real life in person, I also talked to some doctors that do regular blood testing of people on a raw foods diet and kind of hearing, secondhand some different results that people are getting eating different ways. So that's also, I guess, related to experience. But more importantly, I also follow the science. I read scientific journal published studies almost daily. Well, if I have extra time, then I'm reading them daily. But if I don't, then I'm not. But most days I read scientific published journal studies to kind of keep up with the data and the science on what it says for an optimal diet for humans and this is specifically why I'm doing my raw foods diet, for health and longevity, right? If you're doing it for athletic performance, my feeling is that by including more greens and getting a greater diversity, you will be healthier overall and also be able to perform better, provided you meet your caloric needs. That's the most important thing on a plant-based, or especially a raw foods diet, because most people tend to undereat, and it's it is often said that you can't get enough calories from vegetables. I would claim to you guys that that is false, but it is most likely that you will be under eating your vegetables and you won't be able to get enough calories from them because most people don't, eat enough vegetables or eat a good quantity of them if they are trying to eat a vegetable-based raw diet. If you guys are interested more in about a vegetable-based raw foods diet, check my links down below. I've already made videos on this topic on how I eat a vegetable-based raw foods diet, which is extremely rare in raw foods because most people eat a fruit-dominated raw foods diet. But whether you're eating a vegetable-dominated raw foods diet, which means you're going to get 51% or more of your calories from vegetables instead of fruits, or you're just going to eat a lot of fruits, I want you guys to eat enough vegetables because to me, that's one of the primary factors on why people fail on a raw foods diet. There are many other factors as well, but vegetables are really one of the main keys to succeeding on a raw foods diet, in my personal opinion. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you guys my takeaways. And it comes down to the fruit versus vegetable ratio. And this ratio is very simple, people. Now, this is the minimum ratio that you guys will want to do to be at least minimally healthy. Of course, I'll tell you guys the ratio I do. But here's the thing. Most people never tell you a ratio or how much vegetables to eat. Eat 2 meals of fruit and eat a salad at the end of the day, you'll be fine. To me, when I was younger, actually that worked great. But to me nowadays, I believe that vegetables are more important and should dominate more of your diet than just one simple salad meal at night and then having 2 pretty large fruit meals during the day where you're getting an overwhelming majority of your calories from fruit. Like 90%, eating 90% calories from fruit, in my personal belief, is too much. How much is right, how much is wrong? Well, I'll leave that for you guys to decide, but I'm going to tell you guys my ratio and my thought process behind it. So the ratio of fruits to vegetables you want to eat, and just to make this simple because we're not going to include calories counts and all these stupid crazy things that gets it too hard. For every 1 pound of fruit you guys eat, you want to eat 1 pound of vegetables. Now when I define vegetables, vegetables are things that are not sweet fruits. So vegetables would include things like leafy green vegetables, like stem vegetables including flower vegetables, including fruity type vegetables or non-sweet fruits, including things like microgreens and roots, right? And of those categories, I'll tell you guys the breakdown of the 1 pound to 1 pound ratio in a second. But we need a diversity of different fruits and vegetables in our diet to succeed long-term for our microbiome, also for our nutrient requirements. Now, why am I saying, John, you should eat 1 pound of vegetables to 1 pound of fruits? Well, here's the thing. It's commonly known that fruits have more calories than vegetables, about 3 times more calories than vegetables. But on average, there's about 300 calories per pound in fruits, and there's about 100 calories per pound in vegetables. So for example, if you're eating a 2,000 calorie diet because you're just an average guy and need to maintain your muscle mass and all these things, you're burning 2,000. If you eat 5 pounds of fruit, right? 5 times 300 is about 1,500 calories. And then you eat 5 pounds of vegetables, that's about 5 times 100. That's 2,000 calories. So that would be a bare minimum of how many vegetables you guys need to eat, in my personal opinion, to be healthy and sustainable on a raw foods diet for a long period of time. So you need to think, John, well, what kind of vegetables do I eat? Well, that's where it gets, I'm not going to tell you any specifics, but what I'll say is this. Of the 5 pounds of vegetables, you want to try to equally spread that out between different types of vegetables, because different kinds of vegetables have different kinds of phytonutrients, vitamins and minerals, and trace elements, and protein. Of the 500 calories, you want 1/5 or about 100 calories from things like roots, 100 calories from stems and flowers, being like, celery or broccoli or cauliflower. I would consider a stem type vegetable. Kohlrabi, another stem vegetable. Another 100 calories from leafy greens, another 100 calories from the non-sweet fruits, things like tomatoes and bell peppers and cucumbers, and then 100 calories from sprouts and microgreens. All these different foods provide different fibers for our body and different nutrients as well to ensure you guys have a more balanced diet. And that's just the bare minimums, right? We need to balance out the fruits with the vegetables. And I don't really care how you guys do that. I know you're thinking, John, 5 pounds of fruit's easy, man. I could sit there and eat 3 pounds of fruit in one sitting. I mean, I eat maybe a pound or two of fruit in one sitting easily. Actually, sometimes usually 2 to 2.5 pounds these days with all the right persimmons I got. But how do you eat 5 pounds of vegetables, man? It's so hard. Yeah, there's other things in life that are really hard too. But eating a lot of vegetables is not really that difficult if you process them properly. You know, sitting there and eating a whole head of kale, some raw fooders like to do. I like to maybe go around my garden and pick some of my tender greens and eat them, and they are amazing. But honestly, the way I concentrate my vegetables and eat 8 pounds of vegetables in general before I even eat any fruits for the day is through juicing. This was my green juice. This is basically 1 quart of green juice, and it takes about 1 pound of vegetables to make 1 cup of juice. So in this quart of green juice, it's about 4 pounds of vegetables. This one was mostly celery stems, and then also some kale and collard greens from my garden, also some romaine lettuce primarily, and that's what was in this green juice. I'm not really a big fan of celery-based juices. I prefer romaine heart juices instead. But, you know, clearly you guys could see right here, this is 4 pounds. But, John, I'm only eating 5. Well, hey, great, you're already on your way. If you got 4 pounds in your quart juice, then eat another pound. But, you know, that's the bare minimum you guys should do to succeed. The reason why I like juicing is because you can concentrate the nutrients in the juice and also break down some of those tough vegetable fibers to make them more digestible to you so that you get greater uptake. There are scientific studies that show, you know, for example, if you juice carrots and drink carrot juice, you can have higher beta carotene levels in your blood than just eating carrots alone, because the fiber can impair our absorption of some nutrients. Yeah, fiber is good. I'm never going to say to go on a juice fast for 2 years or even a year or more than a few months at a time for cleansing purposes. And especially, I'm not a fan of going on straight fruit juice fasts, but, you know, each their own. Everybody's going to do what you guys are going to do on your own journeys. I would recommend a more, you know, fruit and vegetable based juice fast, especially, you know, mostly focusing on the vegetables personally. Another great way to get more greens in you or more vegetables is salads, and I like also to make soups. Link down below to my soup video. I pack in tons of vegetables into my soup. My soup is based around peppers. You know, I'll juice 10, 11 pounds of peppers and make like a gallon of juice, and that is literally my soup base. So, you know, and then I add all these vegetables from my garden and other places. You guys can see my videos on how to make a soup, and it is just packed full of vegetables, right? I think the mason jar as it's full is at least 1 pound, 10 ounces of my salad meals, as I normally eat my salad meals. So that's like another almost 1.5 pounds of vegetables that I'm eating. And, you know, this is my first juice. I also do an 8-ounce root juice of turmeric, ginger, ginseng with oregano and rosemary from my garden, pepper, and even cloves, and sometimes I'll add cinnamon too. And so that's 8 ounces, so that's like another pound of vegetables right there. And then sometimes I would have also another quart jar of root juice. So my root juice could consist of, you know, I try to do mostly purple carrots, some beets, maybe some jicama, maybe some purple sweet potatoes, regular carrots, and sometimes I'll put a little bit of fruit in there, like pineapple or apple, to sweeten it up a little bit if I got a lot of those. But yeah, that also allows me to get more vegetables in me, so you guys could crank up your vegetables. And you're like, John, I'm doing the math in my head. You just said you have 2 juices a day, vegetable juices primarily. That's 8 pounds plus another, you know, 8-ounce shot. That's another pound. Well, I eat even more than just a 1-to-1 ratio, right? And ratios could be 1-to-1 is just the bare minimum I would recommend to you guys to be healthy. You could even go up to a 3-to-1 ratio, which is basically because that's an even amount of calories. So that's a 50-50 ratio of vegetables to fruits. And once again, my definition of vegetables is all different kinds of vegetables, trying to equally space out and have different styles of vegetables, not just leafy greens. Leafy greens are great, but hey, different nutrients accumulate in different parts of the plants, and also there are different phytochemicals and antioxidants in different parts of the plants as well. So that's why we should be eating all the different parts of the plants. I know some raw foods diet don't eat roots, some won't eat greens, some won't eat brassicas. And to me, I think we should try to include as many of the plant foods as we can for the greatest benefit, because they all are a host of different nutrients that are essential. For me personally, I try to get up to a 4-to-1 ratio of vegetables to fruits. Do I do that every day? Absolutely not, but I'm usually right there at a 3-to-1 ratio. You know, and some people on a raw foods diet might do low fruit and then even more vegetables and maybe even less fruit. You know, I always encourage you guys to do a balance. We need to get our calories from somewhere, and if you're not juicing and concentrate your vegetables, it is really difficult to eat enough, or almost impossible to eat enough vegetables because our stomachs are not large enough to get enough calories in you so that you can be successful, because you will probably be under eating. Now here's some of the sad facts of the matter. Vegetables are the least eaten food in America today. Only 9% of Americans eat the recommended servings of vegetables in a day. And that's totally sad. And I don't want you guys to be a raw foodist that also does not eat enough vegetables, because in my opinion, it makes a higher incidence and higher chance of you failing a raw foods diet and then you later making videos why raw foods didn't work. And it's, you know, one of the reasons is probably because you have not been eating enough vegetables. So even on a standard American diet, the government would tell us we need to get about 400 calories from vegetables in a day to be healthy. And, you know, as a raw foodist, I'm telling you guys to eat 5 pounds of vegetables. Might sound like a lot, but literally that's only about 500 calories of vegetables when the standard American diet tells you to eat 400. So why should you be eating any less than that? Going against the guidelines. I don't believe with all the guidelines, but at least that's the minimum quantity needed, right? Even if you're on a vegan diet, how many calories in a vegan diet of vegetables should you be eating? You're eating a lot more wider diversity of plants, because you're eating beans and rice and grains and all these other things that, you know, I don't think are quite as healthy as vegetables personally. But even on a vegan diet, they recommend you eat 590 calories approximately per day on a healthy vegan diet to be healthy. And I'm still recommending only 500 calories minimum. You know, a 1-to-1 ratio if you're eating a 2,000 calorie diet. Of course, you know, that's the minimum. More is better. Try to get 600 or 700 calories a day, but it also depends on how many calories you eat overall. So that's why I like the ratio formula anyways. So anyways, if you try to get between a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, meaning 2 pounds of vegetables to 1 pound of fruit, you know, or even 1.5, you're going to do a lot better. And once again, the most important key thing is to get a variety of vegetables. I'm here in my garden. You guys can see I don't just have all lettuce planted. I have red lettuce here. I have purple mizuna there in the back. I have dinosaur kale over there. I have Detroit dark red beet greens over here. I have more red lettuce. And over here I have some spinach you guys can't see in front of me. I have green onions, and I'm about to plant some bok choy and some arugula. So I really want to encourage you guys to eat a diversity of vegetables. I know you go to the store and you always get your celery, but hey, get some cauliflower, get some kohlrabi. Every time you go to the grocery store, you know, I encourage you guys and girls to buy a different vegetable that you don't often buy or haven't bought in a long time. Buy some jicama, man. Jicama is really rich in inulin. There are so many different vegetables. That's another root vegetable. Expand your turnip and rutabaga, you know, consumption and radish consumption. And I'll be the first to say I don't tend to eat a lot of those, but I need to eat more of them. So maybe one day I'll have somebody badgering me to like eat some more of those foods as well. So that's pretty much my summary today for you guys on how many pounds of vegetables, or the ratio of vegetables you should eat to fruit minimally to have a healthy diet. And of course, check in with your body and see what feels right to you. I would say minimum 1-to-1, maximum 4-to-1. You probably don't want to go over that because you still need to get some calories from fruit, and fruits are quite healthy. And that being said, also what I'm going to say is that it is known that vegetables, especially leafy green vegetables, have more trace minerals and in general more protein and more micronutrients and special nutrients that fruits do not have. In addition, you know, I've done my research. Have you guys looked up like how the anthocyanin content in the greens that like most of these beds behind me have anthocyanins because they're purple? And I'll put a link down below why every gardener should grow purple vegetables. Link down below. I really go into the topic on that. But basically, anthocyanins from vegetables are better digested than anthocyanins from fruits, as proven by science. If you believe the science, some people don't believe the science. You know, that being said, I'm not going to just only eat anthocyanins from vegetables, and that's a red or purple coloring, right? I eat them from fruits too. I love deep colored purple fruits and all different colored fruits. I don't discriminate against any kind of fruits, even ones that aren't so sweet. I love them all. I'd encourage you guys to see the diversity of foods that I'm eating on my raw foods diet. Check me out on Instagram at Growing Your Greens. I often post about new and different and unique fruits and vegetables that I'm not only eating, but also growing. And you could also learn some of my preparation techniques that I use to increase my vegetable consumption. Now, the final thing I'm gonna say is that if you guys are blending your vegetables to eat them, you know, you could pound in, you know, a pound of of kale with your pound of bananas with some coconut water or even some kind of juice to get them in you, which, I like juicing it better than blending. You should definitely use a vacuum blender. So please check the link down below to a video I made recently with Nate and Lissa from Raw Food Romance to learn more about the power of vacuum blending so you can preserve more of the valuable nutrients and get less gas and bloating when drinking all your smoothies. I'm all about you guys optimizing and succeeding on a raw foods or plant-based diet. And to me, vegetables are one of the keys to do so. So please, guys, do not undereat your vegetables. 1-to-1 ratio minimum. And once again, a spread of different kinds of vegetables from what I've said a little bit earlier. So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, be sure to share this video with somebody else that eats a raw foods or fruit-based diet. Also, if you guys like this content, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below. On my channel, you guys are going to hear things that you will not hear on other raw food channels where they just basically repeat the dogma that they learned out of a book. While I've learned a lot of things out of books, I read a lot of scientific studies, I also experiment to myself and see what happens to other people. I share with you guys my experiences, which are a little bit more outside the box of standard raw foods thinking. You guys are open to learning and growing, doing your own experimentation, then I'll encourage you guys to watch my channel because I'll talk about a lot of things that may, upset your thought process and may disrupt or change what you're doing. And in my opinion, I wouldn't be putting a video out if I don't believe it's going to help somebody. And make sure you click the little bells to get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are wealth of knowledge. Over 600 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to teach you guys all about how to eat the healthiest fruit and vegetable dominated diet to ensure your health in the long run. So with that, my name is John Kohler with Kohlrabi.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.